Call to order, please.
Trustee
Jonathan, you're
Paff?
here. Here.
Trustee Brian Swanson?
Here.
Trustee Dawson?
Here.
Trustee Carolyn Swanson?
Carolyn.
We can't hear you.
Did she say something? I don't know.
Oh, no.
No, she can't hear.
Like
Oh.
1 second.
Can
She's
you guys hear
connecting to
me?
audio.
Yeah, we can hear you, Billy.
Can you see me? Oh, there you go. I can see you now. Hey, everyone.
Hey,
Hi,
Carolyn.
Billy.
Hold on a second. I don't think she's with us yet. Hold on. I'm texting her.
My screen here on the message
It
is
says she's connected. Now she's here. Carolyn, can you hear us now?
I'm in.
Yep.
Perfect.
Superintendent Porras?
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Chin Bendib?
here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hopefully everybody has had an opportunity to look through the agenda. And Dr. Porras, I have no changes. Do you have any changes right now
We have no changes to the agenda tonight.
on board?
Nothing here.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, well then, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
Also
So
moved.
moved.
Motion's made by Brian Swanson, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff?
Aye.
Trustee Brian Swanson?
Hi.
Trustee Dawson?
Aye.
Trustee Carolyn Swanson?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much. We will move into closed session momentarily here. In closed session, we will continue our planning and preparation for collective bargaining sessions with PGTA for 2020, 2021. We will continue our collective bargaining planning preparation with CSEA for 2020, 2021. I believe that we will have just a 1 moment update on legal counsel, existing litigation, and we will discuss superintendent goals. Any public comment on that? Okay, seeing none. Board, any board comment on that? Okay, seeing none. Let us move into closed session.
Thank you. So when they're done, they just close out, they do it on their end. I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, actually, do me a favor on your side. Can you go down to where it says break rooms?
Yeah.
And what options does it give you?
Broadcast message to all or close rooms.
Okay, so what you'll do is close all rooms. Don't do it now because it'll do it right now, but just whenever they're ready. Some of them, I don't know, they can all leave individually. Oh, can you hit pause on your recording?
Oops, sorry.
Example, can we look at notifying all students in PGUSD, even if there's a case perhaps not at their site? I know that may have some strings attached to it or whatever, but I think we should at least discuss it. And I think you did bring it up at a previous meeting that you were going to investigate that. So I guess I'm curious if there's an update on that.
Yeah, the
And then I have
recommendations.
another question.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The recommendation continues to be the protocols that we have in place. We make contact with all students and families and staff that are directly involved with any contact. It takes time and energy. I think part of the concern of opening up broader announcements, we end up getting a lot of communications from folks that are not necessarily directly involved, and there's a limited amount of people that can respond to what we have to do. And we don't want to get sidetracked from the business at hand of getting to the people that we need to get to in terms of contact tracing. That's a piece of it. The privacy piece is always an issue, especially in a small community. The Monterey County Office of Education highly recommends make sure you're tracking it carefully internally, but to try to keep communications in regards to broad base limited because of the privacy piece and the getting pulled off of the work that we need to do to get it taken care of. I can continue. Most of our county counterparts are doing the same process that we are currently doing right now.
As far as siblings, and I know I read the COVID safety plan, but I think we may have a loophole or gray area, or maybe even something we need to look at as far as siblings go. And first of all, let me just say what I believe is currently happening, because I may have misunderstood it, and that could alleviate this entire question. So if a child is going to fail a symptoms check at school, so I'm not saying they're COVID positive, they're just going to fail a symptoms check at school. They've maybe got a sore throat or a slight fever. Do we also ask that family to keep the sibling who's also in our district home, or do we say, nope, the sibling can come to school?
Each of the students fall under their own health check. So it may be that the sibling
Okay.
actually is doing just fine. The difference will come if we identify a student that actually has more directly COVID-related symptoms versus just simply a headache or sort of, one of many versus all of them. Yeah.
Okay, and so that actually, so my second question then is, if a child is COVID positive, do we ask that then their sibling who is asymptomatic stay home as well?
Yes, until we can determine what's happening with the family and testing, because the whole family is going to need to get tested. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. That is all I have for my questions.
Okay, Ms. Dawson.
I appreciate very much that the COVID response has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And I know we've spent a lot of time this year thanking community, students, staff, and admin. But Dr. Porras, I just really want to call you out and compliment you for your guidance this year. As we reflect back on what everyone's been through, you have been in the front of us and taken good care of us, and your stewardship has pulled us through the situation. So a big shout out to you. And I think I speak for the whole board, how beholding we are to you, your guidance, and your steady hand during a very trying year. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Mr. Swanson.
I think you already asked me at the beginning.
Oh, really? I moved my marker too soon. Yeah, so in response in part to trustees Carolyn Swanson's note, the methods for students and siblings is written into our plan. And we, to my knowledge, we're following that now. There's probably some other loopholes which will come up sooner or later that we should address. I have no other comments. Thank you, Dr. Porras, for going through that. And we will open to public comment.
Not seeing anybody yet. President Path.
My board is clear.
Board is clear. So seeing none, we have no action at this point. So we will move forward to Pacific Grove Unified School District Strategic Plan 2020-2021. So this has been vetted once and some suggestions, and now it's come back in what I would say a more final form. I will go, I don't think it needs further presentation, and I will start with Trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Thanks, John. So I read over the strategic plan. I think one challenge I'm having is that I don't see where we have as a district a long-term plan, like a 3 to 5 year plan. And perhaps that's a separate document from the strategic plan, or perhaps the strategic plan needs to be, needs to encompass several years. So I'd like some, I'm curious what maybe Dr. Porras or John Path, what you say about that.
Ralph?
Sure. Yeah, the plan is originally designed to be ongoing. I mean, I almost want to say indefinitely. It's when an item gets finished, we pull it off, but the intent is that it's a living document. any strategic plan is really cyclic. It moves through a certain phase of life. Originally, we used to call this back 10 years ago or so. It used to be called the long-term plan. We changed it to strategic plan to just because really to note more, there are certain areas that we really need to focus on. It's going to take some time. We report back and improve it as we go, and then try to either change or eliminate items as we go. I think over the last 8 years, this plan has definitely had a number of things drop off and new things come on. So it is a long-term plan. We just don't have how many years noted each item is. It's more about as we get items completed, we move forward and alter, eliminate.
Okay.
So I would,
Yeah, go ahead, John.
well, I was going to just follow up on that just a little bit. One dilemma is that there are certain things we should be investigating that are actually 2 to 3 years out, Dr. Porras, and it's difficult to see how exactly they fall under this. So while I'm not suggesting we make any changes, I think that the comment that how do you put a little more strategy and a little less tactics into it is appropriate. That we should, if we're going to say, hey, we want to do something, make David Avenue a preschool center. That's a long-term system. So how do we put that into this? It doesn't really fit into any of these categories nicely. But it's still something we should, if we're going to consider it, it's going to take a few years.
Mm-hmm. Sure, we can start working on honing in on some of that for sure.
Okay. Ms. Swanson, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So, and maybe it's, I have these fresh eyes on to all these things. I would really love more time to dig into this. I was actually thinking of something like perhaps I could see the past 10 strategic plans. I'd love to go through them. I'd love to see what, come on and gone off and really dig into this so that we can really steer the ship. And so those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Ms. Dawson.
Yeah, I appreciate always the honing and looking at it, and I'm glad we're doing that. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson.
Well, I think Trustee Carolyn's comments are interesting and like anybody's insight, valid here. This is what we make it, right? It's we put it together and it can be whatever we want it to be. I like the idea of looking further down the road and trying to address those. And maybe as we go through the next one, we added, more of a long-term section. I think we spent a lot of time on this, tweaking some of the language that we had changed the year before and that had been changed the year prior to that too. And not that we shouldn't do that and try to make the language as best we can, but looking at the minutia, we should, in addition to that, we should be looking at, where do we want to be in 2 years, in 4 years, in 5, and in 10. And so that's all really. Let's think about that next time we into that and what we want it to be, because again, it is what we make it.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. With that, we'll move into public comment.
Not seeing any at this point.
Not seeing any. Okay, give it a couple more seconds, but okay, we'll bring this back then. I see no other hands either. I think this document again has been vetted once, and while I agree that we need to incorporate a section that says looking forward, this is what we see in 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever distance we choose, and there's some projections that have to go with that. We are down at 1,900 and let's call it 50 students right now, plus or minus. I would say 5 years ago, we were at 2,100 and 10 years ago, we were at 1,600. So we'll have to make some estimates on that as we move into strategy. Where do we really see the district capping out? I can't ever see us being at 2,900, which would mean we need a new school somewhere. It's just not, population density doesn't support it. So. But looking at that and adding that on the next draft seems like a prudent plan. So with that, do I have a motion to accept the strategic plan 2020-2021?
I move.
So
we
John,
accept- Go ahead.
Yes,
well, I'd like to have some more time with the document if it's okay with the rest of the board, just to kind of get used to it. So if it's, so is it possible that we could bring this back at a future meeting and I could
I would like to
review
take
it
a vote
further?
on this. We've had it in one form or another for a while, so I'd like to go ahead with the vote on it tonight.
And can I interject a comment, please, President Paff?
Yeah, go ahead.
As part of this discussion, it is sort of a living document and it is ongoing and forever changing. And I don't have any issues with what we've changed and adjusted so far, and it will change again. So I'm in support of moving forward with it, knowing again that it will continually change. And in examining, 5 or 10 strategic plans over the last decade, that's going to take a considerable amount of time, which I think would then be better addressed the next time we come through this.
So
Thank you, Mr. Swanson.
I move we accept the Pacific Grove Unified School District Strategic Plan 2020 through 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Motion made by Christy Dawson, seconded by Brian Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson.
Aye.
Trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
No.
Thank
Okay,
you.
passes 3-1. Thank you all very much. We move on to the District Governance Handbook. The Governance Handbook was sent out, and this is a little more static document, but with sorry, pagination always gets me a little bit. But I think what we're trying to make sure is that we catch certain things which are in fact a little more vibrant. It's clear that the electronics policies as written, while intended well, are not quite what we're doing, and there were some changes made to that. But the majority of it, I think, is fairly straightforward, and trying to work towards a high caliber governance team is appropriate. So with that, we'll start with Ms. Dawson.
Yeah, I know we did a lot of work on this last year in a special board meeting where we really went through it and really picked it apart. So it makes me proud to read it because I find it to be very reflective. And when I look at it, it brings things to mind. I'm very happy with it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dawson. Mr. Swanson.
Yeah, I don't have any issues here. In going through it again, it's like, all right, I think it's pretty good. It's always going to need a little tweak here as we move through the years, but it's mostly right on target. Maybe we're 95% on track there, and a little tweak here or there, but nothing that's such a glaring that shows a huge change needs to be made. So I'm fine with it to go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Ms. Swanson.
Yeah, thanks, John. I feel like I think we kind of use this handbook as one of the few trainings that new trustees get. So I've read it actually, this is my third time reading it in the past, 6 or 8 months. And so I do find every time I read it, something else kind of sticks out at me, just because that's kind of the nature of how this goes. Yeah, I don't see anything. I mean, it's essentially like don't do this and do this type of handbook, and I don't have any major issue with it. I'm not going to ask for more time on this one.
Thank you. And it's very interesting. You're absolutely right. There are odds and ends. And if I make it through a meeting without ever interrupting somebody, I'm shocked, but it's not intentional, even though that's in there. So yeah, thank you for your comments. With that, we'll open up the public comment. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. Do I have a motion to accept the governance handbook?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's made by Christy Dawson, seconded by Brian Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
Trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes 4-0. Thank you all very much. And this is another document that as you see something that you say, well, you know, that's not really what we're doing. Don't hesitate to mark it, and we should keep that running copy going. So, and members of the public, we do try hard with it. So, action discussion D, approval of actuarial study of retiree health liabilities under GASB 7475. Board, a few years ago, we were required to take a look at our health benefits, post-employment benefits, and make sure we could cover them and knew what they really look like. I believe this is a straightforward item, frankly. We're really reporting out. I would suggest that if the board has any questions, I don't think that any presentation is necessary at this point, but if some board member wishes that, we can come back to it. So I am on Brian. Mr. Swanson.
Yeah, I don't have any questions other than, well, yeah, I mean, this comes up every year. We go through it every year and it's required. I don't think this is actually even a question, more, or it's a rhetorical question. It's like, why isn't this on consent actually? Because it is just such a routine matter. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but I don't actually need the answer to that anyway. So I'm fine to move ahead.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Swanson.
I don't have any comments except Brian might be onto something with consent actually.
Ms. Dawson.
I appreciate the good work that Song and her team constantly do, and I thought it was very thorough and informative. No
Thank you all
comment.
very much. My sole comment on that is just noting the items on their impact and purpose of GASB 7475. It's not intended to affect the current operating budget. And going down one more where we say PGUSD is pay as you go. We have not set aside money for future benefits. And there is no intention at this point, and that has been a long-standing thing. So to not try and do that. With that, public comment. Ms. Shamus. Ralph, could you unmute? Thank you.
I just did. Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
there you go.
Okay. Just on this item being in consent, please don't put it in consent. It's really important that items like this be as public as it can be. This is what you're telling the public you are doing and how you're handling your retirement income or outgo. So it may not generate much, comment right now, but every now and then it does. So I would encourage it never to be in consent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shamus. Well, seeing no one else on the list, we'll bring it back. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Also move.
Second.
Motion's made by Brian Swanson, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Passes 4-0. The next item I will defer to Ms. Mankey.
Good evening, President Paff, trustees, and members of the community. This item is Resolution 1071. It is recognizing our teachers for the wonderful work they do in regards to California Day of the Teacher and Teacher Appreciation Week. So during a little background information on this is during the early 1970s, the Association of Mexican American Educators adopted the Mexican tradition of annually recognizing teachers and began organizing related events throughout the state. In 1985, AMAE sponsored legislation that is incorporated into Education Code to establish the Day of the Teacher to be observed each day on the second Wednesday in May, so that's actually next week. But this week, we recognize the Week of the Teacher, and knowing that teachers play an incredible role in our society, fulfilling the responsibilities to educate all children. And the state of California has, again, I go back to dedicating the second Wednesday in May. And with this, we just want to express our appreciation. We have a resolution that President Paff, I don't know if you would like to read it or move it on to a different board member as we move forward. That's generally what we do when we're in person. It may be a little different tonight.
No, I'll read this tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So resolution, thank you. Resolution number 1071 proclaiming California Day of the Teacher and Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas teachers personify our society's belief that universal public education is key to meeting the challenges of a changing world, and the influence of a good teacher continues long after school days are only memories. And whereas teachers demonstrate and share their love of learning in the classroom every day and fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors, and by doing so are partners with parents and the community in inspiring students' dreams and laying the foundation for them to be good citizens. And whereas teachers strive to make every classroom an exciting environment where productive and useful learning can take place, and each student is encouraged to grow and develop, and where teachers reach out to foster the well-being of each student, regardless of ability, social or economic background, race or ethnic origin or religion. And whereas the board does applaud the unique and highly specialized skills and dedication required to meet the varied needs of the young people served by the district's instructional programs, and recognize that the quality of all students' educational experiences depends significantly and vitally upon the quality of their teachers, who are entrusted with fulfilling the mission of education to prepare our students for the future. And now therefore be it resolved by the governing board of Pacific Grove Unified School District that resolution 1071 be adopted to observe May 3rd, 2021 through May 7th, 2021 as Teacher Appreciation Week, and specifically May 12th, 2021 as California Day of the Teacher, by taking time to remember and salute the teachers who mold and educate our children, impact and enrich our lives, and thereby are critical to the constant transformation of our society. With that, board, I will start with Ms. Swanson for comments.
Oh, thanks, John. I mean, what can you say, really, right? Teachers are the engines of our district. So it's been a very odd year and it's amazing. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I just, I really do thank them. And I know the next resolution is for support staff, and I thank them as well. Our whole district is valuable, every single person who works in it.
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Ms. Dawson.
Yeah, one of the most memorable things for me during this COVID year have been the amount of entertainers or writers or different people who have commented that even though they've always appreciated teachers, the fact that they got to participate a bit in teaching at home, really, it came to light what a tough and profound the impact that teachers have is overwhelming. So in this year especially, I think this is tremendously meaningful, and teachers, I think the entire nation and world respect you and even more with more depth than in past years. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson.
Thank you, President Paff. As I've seen throughout this last year, you know, the people talking about teachers being heroes, and I don't think it can be overstated. I think, you know, next to a parent, there's no person that has a greater impact on whether it's the life of a child or an adult than a teacher, really. And I, looking at this screen and the people that I know, every person that I know can name at least one teacher who impacted their life in such an incredible way. I could think of a half a dozen just for me, and the same for my kids. So again, it cannot be overstated, the impact of teachers on all of our lives, and I'm grateful that we have them. It is sometimes a thankless task. So let me say thank you. You're appreciated, and yeah, appreciated and valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. I think the words in here that are critical to me right now are dedication required to meet the varied needs of young people served by the district's programs, and recognize the quality of all students' educational experience depends significantly upon the quality of their teachers. And this year, the dedication is been pressed to a limit, and I cannot state with enough thank yous how dedicated our teachers have been, and I appreciate it. And you know, 16 days, congratulations. It's been a hell of a ride, that's for sure. Dr. Porras, I think I'm going to come back to you after public comment, okay?
Okay.
So we'll open up to public comment. Ms. Shamus. You have.
Beth, you'll have to unmute on your screen. There you go.
Yes, I just, you know, as a parent, grandparent, I should say, you know, and watching my grandkids at home here with online learning. I mean, this year has been just amazing, so amazing. I'm just so impressed with the teachers. It's such a unbelievable task they took on and succeeded at. And I would hope that they get a special reward in their paycheck somewhere. Anyway, thank you.
Beth, we're taking donations. We're just letting you know now. So.
I will donate.
Ms. McAdams, I'm sorry, Beth. Am I interrupting? I apologize. Oh,
No,
she's
I
off.
said I'll donate. Sure.
Thank you. Ms. McAdams.
Good evening, everyone, and my check's in the mail too. Wow, what a year. I am so grateful for teachers. It is not something that I saw that I would ever be, especially a work from home, teach from home mom. And the fact that staff in a matter of weeks was able to regroup, come up with a curriculum, you know, teach that curriculum with a smile on their face every morning via Zoom. And I know our teachers had a lot of home challenges as well, like who has not during the pandemic. So just many, many thanks, lots of gratitude, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Ms. McAdams. Ms. McCarty.
Hi there. I just wanted to say on behalf of the teachers as the union president that, you know, we appreciate the thanks this week, as well as the thanks that we've gotten for the, you know, from parents and staff all year. I just want to mention that, you know, we have worked as hard as we can and done the best we can, but we really appreciate too, like we didn't do it alone. The support staff was there, the parents were there, you know, all of the district office and administration have really, we've all just pulled through. You know, it's uncharted territory, and I think that we as a district have done really well. And so I just wanted to thank and acknowledge others as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCarty. And I think your last statement there about others included cannot be overstated as well. And I really do appreciate PGTA, and thank you. So with that, I make a motion to accept Resolution 1071, Teacher Appreciation Week and California Day of the Teacher.
Seconded.
Motion's made by John Paff, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Pardon me. I said I was going back to Dr.
Dr.
Porras.
Porras.
Actually, thank you, Mr. President. I spoke a little of this earlier at the beginning of the meeting, and my sentiments still hold. And certainly I'm speaking to these resolutions for sure, but to the entire staff as well. It's one of those things where, sometimes we'll go home as educators at night after a really crazy day, and our loved ones will ask us, "Tell me about your day." And you just can't find a way to put it into a phrase or a few words, whatever. And you just can't find the words, but deep in your heart, it's been crazy. And I know that all of our staff has experienced this all the way down the line, up and down the line. And so to my colleagues out there, to all of you, I appreciate you deeply. I know how you feel. And it's remarkable what you do, all of you. I've been known to say, and I'll say it again, regardless of your job title, your job description, you have been a tremendous leader in our district, all of you. And I'm deeply grateful to you. I know the community as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Porras. Motion was made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
Trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
Trustee Dawson,
Aye.
Trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. And thank you all again. We move on to Classified School Employee Week, Resolution number 1072. Ms. Mankey.
Good evening. This next item is acknowledging and appreciating our classified employees during the week of May 16th through the 22nd. And the background and information on this one is that in 1986, CSCA sponsored state legislation to create Classified School Employee Week. And since then, California Public Schools has taken 1 week each May to recognize the outstanding efforts and contributions of its classified school workers. Classified school employees play crucial roles in education. I always say they are like the scaffolding or the frame of our district. They clear the way for our teachers to be able to do the work they do. And from the time students board a school bus to the time that they head home at the end of the day, every aspect of their educational experience is impacted by a classified school employee. Classified staff includes school bus drivers, secretaries, clerical, food service, instructional assistants, maintenance personnel, custodians, and others. Classified school employees transport students, feed students, teach them vital skills, and ensure that our schools are operating smoothly and safely. And so with this resolution, we would like to recognize Classified School Employee Week, proclaiming Classified School Employee Week, May 16th through the 22nd. And President Paff, if you would like to read this one or name someone.
I would prefer someone else read it. Do I have a volunteer there?
I'll read it.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson.
Resolution number 1072 proclaiming Classified School Employee Week. Whereas the legislature of the state of California has declared that May 16th through 22nd, 2021 shall be Classified School Employee Week, a time to recognize the many contributions of classified school employees to public education. And whereas the education of our youth is imperative to our society, to California, to our nation and world, and whereas our district's classified school employees are skilled personnel who serve our students and play important roles in the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment. And whereas our classified staff are dedicated individuals who perform outstanding work and have continued to offer exceptional support for our students, teachers, and administration. Whereas our classified employees deserve rightful recognition and public celebration for their caring, their deeds, and the incalculable contributions they have made to California's public education system. Whereas our classified employees, often the unsung heroes, are respected educational partners, and this year, above all others, have met the challenges faced through the COVID-19 pandemic and served our students and schools as essential workers. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing board of Pacific Grove Unified School District that resolution 1072 be adopted to observe Classified School Employee Week during the time of May 16th through 22nd, 2021, as an opportunity to acknowledge the achievements and contributions of classified school employees in our system of public education.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for reading that through. And again, you know, this it takes a lot of people to run a district, and we have we mentioned earlier about 250 employees, and everyone has a role. And we appreciate, you know, the classified staff. And certainly there was a period earlier this year where I thought our classified staff was really going above and beyond to try and get stuff set up and ready for people coming back in a manner that it's something brand new and was changing day to day. And I want to just state how much I appreciate all of the efforts that went into that this year. So, Ms. Dawson.
Well, I feel like I just said a lot, but they were other people's words. The reality is that classified is often behind the scenes, kind of supporting everybody with teachers out front. And it couldn't be done without them. And their efforts and their day-to-day, their impact on students just cannot be overstated. So a huge thank you to all staff within the district who have supported us throughout the year with the students and the community as a whole. So big kudos to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Swanson.
I'm trying to figure out, oh, hold on. All right, I thought I was muted for a second. Just how much to reveal. For those of you who might know me better, it probably will come as no surprise that at times in my life I was not a model student. And when I was in class, it was the teachers who kept me in line. And when I was not in class, and maybe when I was supposed to be in class, but I was not in class, it was the classified employees who were keeping an eye on me. And they always did it with a sense of caring, knowing that I could do better. And when I think about them, and again, how much a part of the fabric of education they are, I'm grateful, because they never gave up on me either. And I think I turned out okay. And in large part, it was because of them giving me a break. Maybe when I got called back down to the office again, and they looked at me with like, it's not you again, is it really? But they gave me an opportunity always to do better. And I'm grateful again for all that, and for all the other kids like me who needed that. So thank you for being such a vital part of what happens here in the district and all districts across the country.
Thank you very much. Ms. Swanson.
The different jobs that classified employees have, because it is true, they are unsung heroes. A lot of times people just think of schools and they think of teachers, and they, you know, think of PTA, and the T in PTA is teachers. And, you know, the teachers are, like I said, for sure the engine of our schools, but we couldn't do it without all these classified folks. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that there's classified folks and there's certificated folks, and there's all these ways that they interact together. And it's been such an odd year, so I can't even begin to fathom honestly what the teachers have been through or what the classified staff have been through. So I'm I definitely support this resolution, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Open to public comment. Mr. Kelly.
I want to express my appreciation for our custodial and maintenance staff. It was probably a year and 2 weeks ago or a week ago where we asked all of them to come back after being out, and they all came back without any hesitation. In fact, I think some of them were asking to come back even earlier in the middle of the pandemic. And this is 10 months before a vaccine was even available. And they got our schools ready, and they got it ready for the teachers and the kids to enter back into the classroom safely. And we talked about earlier, that the transmissions of COVID have all come from the outside, and none of them have been passed along on the inside. And that's credit to our classified staff. That's all of them, and the hard work that they've done. So I want to thank all of them for their hard work over the last year.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelly. Dr. Porras.
Thank you, Mr. Paff. And again, just following up on those words, deep appreciation. I remember when I was invited my first year in the district to go to a CSEA event. It was sort of a conference / a celebration event, and Lori Ray Anderson was the president of CSEA at that time when I had a chance to join them. And I shared this story then, and I think about it often. I'm lucky. I'm a child of a farmer and a teacher, so I got a chance to see labor and the classroom teachers all at once as I was growing up. And in my elementary years, Mr. Cubberly was the custodian at my elementary school, and Mr. Cubberly saved my life in many ways. And I think of him when I think of schools first, before any other teacher, and I have many of them are heroes as well. But as Mr. Swanson said, he knew me. He knew me in ways that I don't think my parents even knew. And he guided me, and that was remarkable. And talk about unsung heroes. And so as I walk through our district and I see the lunch ladies helping out in the summer to feed our children out in the streets during the summertime, our custodians rise to every challenge that's been thrown their way. The office staff greeting our children when they're scared and need to come to school. All of our classified staff, I think of Mr. Cubberly, and you're my heroes. So appreciate what you do for us in the district. It means a tremendous amount to all of us. And I think, again, speaking on behalf of the admin team, thank you for the leadership that you give, not just in the classroom assisting, but everywhere. So much thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Porras. Ms. Davies, Director Davies.
Okay, hello. I also want to echo that, piggyback on what Matt Kelly said. When we opened our special ed classrooms in late November, the classrooms that serve our most fragile and most students that have the greatest challenges, our classified staff were there for us. These are students that are not able to wear masks, and students that need to have a very intimate needs taken care of, as well as in some instances, needing to be assisted with eating. And I just want to praise and thank the teachers and our paraprofessionals who were more than willing to come in to take care of our special children, even as the pandemic was unfolding. They are true heroes. There were times at board meetings you heard from our parents saying how badly their children needed to be at school, and our staff rose to the occasion. So I just want to thank them for that and make sure our community knows of all the heroes that we have in our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davies. we will bring this back. I make a motion to accept resolution number 1072, Classified School Employee Week.
Seconded.
Motion's made by John Paff, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to resolution number 1073, supporting people of Asian ancestry and condemning harassment towards people of Asian descent. This was brought forth a few weeks ago with a request to be brought back with some revisions. This is the revision statement. Dr. Porras, would you like to add anything on this?
No, Mr. President, I think some of the revisions were done by trustees, so I would go ahead and leave it in your hands to present as you see fit.
Okay. Well, I think it can be read. Mr. Swanson, would you read this for us, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Resolution number 1073, resolution supporting people of Asian ancestry and condemning harassment toward people of Asian descent. Whereas America's professed values include a commitment to liberty, equality, and justice for all. And whereas America's diversity is a source of strength and prosperity, and California's vibrant communities benefit from cultural contributions made by people of every ancestry. And whereas California is home to the largest population of Asian Americans, a group that has enriched the state in countless and invaluable ways. And whereas people of Asian descent have suffered discrimination since California's earliest days, and whereas that discrimination continues today in the form of violence against Asian Americans. And whereas schools have an obligation not only to prepare students academically, but also to provide the foundation for personal growth and responsible participation in civic life. And whereas our values of inclusiveness, humanity, and respect demand that we support students of Asian ancestry and the larger Asian American community, in keeping with our policies of anti-discrimination for all members of the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the governing board of the Pacific Grove Unified School District commits to creating a supportive, inclusive culture that fully embraces students of Asian descent and decries violence and harassment against them and any member of the community. Passed and adopted by the Board of Education, Pacific Grove Unified School District, the 6th day of May, 2021.
Thank you very much, Mr. Swanson. Now you are actually up to comment, but we can, if you wish, I will start the normal sequence here.
It's me?
Yeah, sorry.
I don't have a lot to add. I think trying to wrap my head around it. I'm the father of 2 Chinese American girls, and I've seen some of the things directly that they have faced and that their friends have faced, and I'm glad that we're doing this. It's necessary. This doesn't necessarily solve any of the problems that they or their friends are facing, but it's an important acknowledgement that we see and are aware of the struggles that they face. And I'm just gonna keep it at that for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Ms. Swanson.
Yeah, thanks, John. I think resolutions like these are a communication tool between the board out to our community, out to our staff members, out to our students. I think they spotlight our policies surrounding anti-discrimination. And I wanted to thank the community members who wrote in with ideas and support of the resolution. And I think it's a symbolic way for us to stand beside our community members of Asian descent. It's like Brian said, it's not going to solve perhaps these issues, but it's important that as a board, we communicate about them. And I think, you know, schools are the place where we can have these conversations, and we can start the conversation with this, and then maybe move forward and find ways to have our school environment be safer, feel more comfortable for our students and for our staff. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Ms. Dawson.
Yeah, I want to thanks for the rewrite of this. I think it's really good. It was, for me, never a question of endorsing it. It was about cleaning it up. I think it's written beautifully now. It may not solve it, but I would say it's part of the solution. Again, the conversation and the stance taken by the board goes a long way. And what I had said earlier isn't that this shouldn't be in place, but I think we can do even more as a board and reach into the schools themselves, the classrooms, and we want all of our students to feel safe. And this right now is at the center of a national conversation, and I'm delighted to support it.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson. And we'll go directly to public comment. Ms. Hall.
Hi, thank you. I am really glad you brought this up and you brought it back, because at first I was really gutted that you didn't support it as a board. So thank you for doing the rewrite. Thank you for bringing it back, and thank you for supporting us.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. With that, we will bring it back. Do I have a motion to accept Resolution 1073?
Also move.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Brian Swanson and seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. With that, we move on to the next three items, which are all deal with KL, and then almost would have preferred we somehow mix them, but it's not appropriate. Mr. Kelly has brought forth one of the items that was absolutely necessary for Measure D funds, which is fixing the beams on KL, which show notable dry rot and termite damage, which involves replacing, fixing, coming back, painting, and during that, making sure that we have appropriate lead and asbestos testing for KL. And the goal of this is to have this done over the summer. Mr. Kelly, is there anything you need to add?
Yeah, just really quickly, the auto construction item is, we are anticipating change orders and change of conditions when we start opening up. So it's just one of those projects where you can't see everything going into it. So we are expecting that. And the painting project is labor only. We'll be contracting, or we'll be purchasing paint and materials locally, probably at Kelly Moore. So we're going to support some local businesses. And then we still have one more bid coming in for, or one more contract coming in for approval to the board, and that'll be roofing. And the approximate price will be about $130,000, which puts us approximately about little over $300,000 for budget, and we have a $500,000 budget for the project.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. And we do need to go through them one at a time, but I appreciate the broad overview here and the fact that the damage that's up there looks more repairable, I guess better than we anticipated, so that we're a couple $100,000 under budget. And I appreciate that you immediately brought it in with lead and asbestos testing, as is appropriate, and quite frankly, you've done in other places as well, but I appreciate having that in front of me. So with that, board, we'll go around, starting with Carolyn. Any questions on action discussion H? We will go through them individually.
Yeah, thanks. I actually The only note that I made was get some good photos, because this is like such a great demonstration of what our Measure D money is going towards. And that's it.
Excellent point. Christy.
No comments at this time. Thank you.
Brian.
Nothing other than I do think photographing it, documenting it really well is a fantastic idea. So, absolutely.
Everything we do. With that, we'll open to public comment. I see none. I'm not surprised that there's not much on that. So do I have a motion to accept the contract for services with auto construction for K&L wing dry rot repairs?
I'll make the motion on staff's recommendation.
Thank you so very much. Motion made by Carolyn Swanson, seconded by Christy Dawson. This is a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Path,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. That passes 4-0. We'll move directly to contract for services for satellite painting of PG High School. As Mr. Kelly noted, the contract is for the labor, and the paint will be an additional $10,000, give or take a little bit. My only thought is Matt, feel free to ask if we're going to paint different colors on the buildings this time. Totally up to you guys. I have no say.
Well, we did build into the bid samples, but the goal was to go for as close as match as we could. The shades may be off a little bit, but we do have some samples that we'll be throwing up on the building when we get to that point.
Okay, thank you. Are you painting the entire building?
Yes.
Okay. So it would be well into the meddling zone for me to really display any comments on paint, so I'll be quiet now. With that, Christy.
No comments.
Brian.
No comment.
Ms. Swanson.
Yeah, thanks, John. I also am resisting meddling in the paint color because, oh man. But other than that, no comment.
Goodness knows we want to, right? I'd like it. Never mind. With that, we'll open to public comment. Seeing none, we'll bring that back. Do I have a motion to accept the contract for services with satellite painting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Christy Dawson, seconded by Brian Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Path,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes 4-0. Thank you also very much. Approval of expenditures with M3 Environmental for lead testing.
Asbestos.
This is asbestos testing. You know, as we go through painting, we've done this at the adult school, we've done this at the co-op. We'll continue to do this as we do repairs. Just, you know, make sure that we asbestos test and understand where it is. The solution for asbestos, generally speaking, is to encapsulate in a manner that's appropriate. So this was clearly built before 1974, and you know, will absolutely contain lead, but let's make sure we mitigate it appropriately. Mr. Kelly, anything else to add?
Nope.
Okay. Brian.
Encapsulate in a manner that is appropriate. It's just a fancy way of saying we paint over it, right?
Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, it basically with lead, what you do is you remove the loose.
Yeah.
And then you paint over the stuff that's still there and is adhering to the building.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and I know we've encountered this in years past, and you and your team have always done a great job dealing with it. It's not new to our area. It's new to what, any building that's ever been painted prior to what, 1972?
Yeah, right, and maybe for lead later, even later, a little bit later.
Yeah. So no, I'm all good. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Swanson.
Yeah, my comment about this one is just, I noticed that there wasn't the agreement between the owner and contractor included in the packet. Is that because it's under an existing maintenance contract and that has been brought forth before?
Correct. Yeah, we always bring M3 to the board like in June, and so we're still working under that existing contract. This was just to get it approved because they're Measure D funds.
Okay, thanks. That's my only comment.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Ms. Dawson.
No comments at this time. Thank you.
Very good. Open up for public comment. Seeing no hands raised, we will move forward. Do I have a motion to approve the expenditures for M3 Environment?
I move we accept the approval of expenditures with M3 Environmental for lead and asbestos testing at PG High School, K&L buildings.
I'll second.
Motion made by Christy Dawson, seconded by Carolyn Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes 4-0. Thank you all so very much. We move on to request to deregulate facilities use permits. Board, as you recollect, when we first hit COVID, one of the things we did within a couple months is basically stop allowing rental space of any of our fields and facilities, generally speaking. This has had the effect that we expected, which is things weren't used for a long time. As things have opened up, there is more public use going on. We certainly have student use going on, and we are now receiving requests for future use. Interestingly, certainly the field will not be in use even if we open up for a little while because it's in use by the high school. And then 2 weeks later, we start cutting swaths off. Mr. Kelly, I think you should try and sell pieces of the field to people, see if a yard of field is interesting to anybody. However, Mr. Kelly has asked that this come back and we allow rentals again, and required with that is a COVID safety plan that says that groups coming in will in fact reflect current California Department of Health and county restrictions. So Mr. Kelly, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
No, we have community groups that have been with us quite a long time that want to start using our facilities again, start playing baseball, start doing some outdoor concerts. And so with the restrictions, we feel like this is the right time to open that back up to our community and get people using our facilities.
Okay, with that, Ms. Swanson.
Yeah, the concept of this, I'm definitely in support of. I feel like our fields and our facilities are the communities, and so as much as we can let them come back on as possible. I was glad to see that there is a nod to the fact that we're still in a pandemic in the item, and there's a COVID safety plan required. I noticed just a small typo on the cover sheet, and I just bring up these typos just because we're creating a public record here with all the stuff that we generate, and so I just feel like our record should be accurate. The year October 1st, it says 2021, but it should be 2020 on the cover sheet. And Matt Kelly, is there any other, besides the COVID safety plan, is there any other piece of this that is different from normal for the people who are going to apply?
No, I think what we're really doing is just following the Department of Health's guidelines, and when they open up certain sports and other areas, we're just going to follow suit as long as the facility user submits a COVID safety plan.
Okay, thank you. I don't
Mhm.
have anything further.
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Ms. Dawson.
Yeah, I agree with what was just stated. So nice to have the community back and around and safety in place. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson.
Well, it's nice to see things continue to open up. I think we could potentially maybe even see a tiny, I know it says no fiscal impact, but we might actually see a little bit of a dribble of income opening these things up depending upon the user. We don't need to delve into that, but I think I'm right there, maybe. Yeah, so I get it.
Correct, yes.
Kelly, so yeah, so great. It's good news. Thank you for the report and getting this going.
Thank you very much. And again, reiterating what Ms. Swanson said, it's good to see the communities out there. So Mr. Kelly, thank you for bringing it back. And I think at this point, we are almost in yellow. We hope to be in yellow within 2 weeks. This is an appropriate time to do this. We'll open up the public comment. Mr. Thomas.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, staff. My name is Steve Thomas. I'm here tonight representing the Pacific Grove Pony Baseball and Softball League. I want to thank Director Kelly for bringing this agenda item forward, and I also would just like to thank the Pacific Grove Unified School District for its long years and years and years of partnership with our league to provide fields. In turn, our league provides not only regular upkeep as well as yearly work on the fields, but also capital improvement projects. And we're thrilled that we can officially be able to use the fields again. You may have noticed we have already gone out and reconditioned all of the fields throughout the districts, and those are currently being used by students at Robert Down and Forest Grove during the day, students at the charter school, as well as the JV baseball team up at the high school. And so I want to again recognize the Board of Trustees and also the staff at the district for your trust in our league and for your support and partnership. And we look forward to continuing this relationship forward for many years to come. Thank you very much. And I urge approval of this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I am curious if, well, I have noticed the improvements and the re-graveling and that there are people out there working, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I see no other public comment, so I'll bring this back. I make a motion to approve deregulation of the facilities use permits. This is still through Faciliton, and it does need to be a COVID safety plan. So it's not a gimme, but let's move forward.
Second.
Great. Motion's made by John Paff, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes 4-0. Thank you all so very much.
Thank
Board
you.
calendar, future meetings. Go. You were saying?
Director Kelly was just saying thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you, Matt. Dr. Porras, this item is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do need a motion and a second and a vote on this tonight. We just added a few items, the special board meeting on the 28th, and then on the June 3rd meeting, we added the board appointed trustee oath of office. So a couple items were added there. So we need approval for this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I would like to point out to the public, and Ms. Swanson did earlier, we are expecting to make an appointment. Whoops, hold on a second. What happens when you fail to shut the timer off? Then you interrupt Dr. Porras in the middle of a. So we will be interviewing for that. We expect to interview for that on the 28th, and that is a special meeting. That is a public meeting though. So questions, let's see, Ms. Dawson.
No, I agree with the changes.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson.
Thank you.
Ms. Swanson,
Yeah, the changes are fine. Thank you.
thank you. Public comment? Seeing none. We will, do I have a motion to accept the board calendar future meetings?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Christy Dawson, seconded by Brian Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Brian Swanson.
Aye.
Trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Thank you all so much. Information discussion. We have 2 items on here. And then we'll go back to closed session. But the first is the high school master schedule draft for 2021-22. Mr. Garcia, I cannot speak to this, so I have to pass this off.
All right, thank you. So this evening, we have provided you with some information related to our master schedule for the 21-22 school year. A little background, students via Illuminate sign up for courses in January based on our course catalog. These requests are then looked at by site administration, the counseling department, in conjunction with our teachers to develop the master schedule for the upcoming school year. The master schedule goes through numerous drafts. The draft that you have in front of you was provided last week. That was draft 62. We are on draft 108 as of today. We continue to work on the master schedule daily. It is our goal to have it completed by the end of the school year. However, things can happen over the summer. We could see an increase in our student population, a decrease in our student population. We could see a change in staffing if somebody were to choose to resign and move on. So those are all factors when we build a schedule, and we need to be as nimble as possible. And with the key of keeping our master schedule student-centered at all times. So the information that we provided to you is a breakdown of a draft that we build within Illuminate. It shows you all of the classes that we're offering. It shows you enrollment by period and by class. And it is something that I want to commend our counselors, Mrs. Rice and Mrs. Paris, for their hard work on this incredible puzzle. So with that, leave it open to any questions.
Okay, so President Paff has had to step away for a moment, so I'm going to jump in and grab the reins, and I'm going to first just pass it off to my fellow trustees. Trustee Dawson, do you have any questions, comments, observations that you'd like
Yeah,
to?
having worked on this myself professionally in my career, I appreciate it and I understand the different efforts going through. I will say that in some places I could see a number to the far right that would tell me how many students were enrolled. And there are certain places like in English 4 as an example, there's no number for me to know kind of what that is. What I would ultimately ask, and I know it's a basic thing, is just the class size not be too small, and that, you know, as many offerings for the kids as possible. I know you're looking at that as you go through, but I would sure love it if there could be numbers on all of these, even though it's an initial draft, next time we get a peek at it. But thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Trustee Carolyn.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So, Principal Garcia, my questions might not be really relevant because it is such a process. So just, I'll ask them and you can tell me if you don't know yet. Are we losing any AP classes? What are your feelings on those? I know we had some parents emailing with concerns with that. And So are we losing any AP classes, and also are we adding any classes whatsoever?
In regards to the AP classes that are listed here, we anticipate that we will have them at the start of the school year. And as far as adding any courses, one of the things that we are adding to the schedule is we have increased the number of math support classes from this year to next year.
Okay. You know, sorry, my whole computer just shut down and came back on. Can you say that answer one more time? I am so sorry.
No, not a problem. In regards to the AP classes, what we have listed here on this draft, we anticipate having those courses at the beginning of the school year. And as far as adding classes, we have added 2 additional math support classes beyond what we are offering this school year.
Thank you so much for your patience on that. And then I know, so you say you're not, so for the AP classes, are we losing any classes that we have in place this school year? And then going into next school year, are we losing any of those?
I wouldn't say it was losing. We are having some of our AP courses on an alternating schedule to ensure that we can have some strong numbers in those courses.
And which ones are those, please?
So for instance, an example would be with our AP Psych. It was not offered this year. We are offering it next school year.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, well, President Paff is back, but I'm still going to ask myself if I have any questions about this. And I don't really, I know a tremendous amount of work has gone into just putting this together and the steps that led you to then this part and trying to figure out this puzzle. I think you'd said it's a puzzle. This is not my area of expertise. I wouldn't ask you guys how to fill a Monday night between Buffalo and Columbus, Ohio for Smash Mouth. So I'm not going to delve into your world. I trust that you guys know what you're doing. I do like hearing that, you know, we're trying to bolster our numbers when it comes to some of the AP courses. That's great news. And again, I appreciate all the hard work, Principal Garcia and the rest of your team that has gone into making this the best that it can be. So thank you so much for that. And President Paff, welcome back to the fold.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, I needed to step out for just a moment, but the fact is, and I don't know if Mr. Garcia spoke to it, but certainly in private conversation, he's noted that he's actually looking to expand AP opportunities to students so that actually it's a little more open to anyone wishing to review. So I think that anyone is probably an overstatement, but the gist of that is correct. Mr. Garcia, thank you so much for putting this together, and I appreciate having it in the packet today to review. So with that.
You're welcome. And scalper tickets are the key, Mr. Swanson.
We need to monetize those though too. So
Ryan, if you want to open to public comment.
Yes, seeking any public comment, please raise your hand. And if you don't know how to do that with the icon, just turn your camera on and flail your hands in front of the camera. We'll recognize either or. Seeing none, let's.
This is information discussion, so.
Oh, you're right, it is. All right, so I think turn the reins back over to you, President Paff.
Thank you so much. Dr. Porras, future agenda items. So future agenda items suggested by public or trustees for review to be put on future agenda under bylaw 9322. I have nothing new. We did remove an item here, and some of them are being closed out because we actually have come to them. But I would like to point out, added February 4, 2021, return of affordable housing at a later date when more information becomes available. I had a conversation with City Manager Harvey today And we'll try and pick up the role that Mr. Walton had in understanding what the city is looking for, and hopefully we'll be able to report back to the board on that. So, Dr. Porras, anything?
No, Mr. President, that's all I have as well.
Okay, thank you. With that, I don't know, who'd you start with, Brian?
I started with Trustee Dawson.
Trustee Dawson. So then it goes to Mr. Swanson's next on my queue.
I have no future agenda items to present at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Swanson.
Yeah, I have a question about where something might land. It might not be future agenda, but as far as the current information I have regarding the crossing guard program, it is something that is probably going to transition from being a city employee to a district employee. And so I was wondering, is that something that comes back as a future agenda item, or is that something that happens more at the HR level, and then we ultimately approve the funding for that?
So it should come back under the HR. Billy, I think if you are still here, do you need us to add that as a separate item right now? Because, you know, we could, but I do think it's going to fall to you to say, no, I'm ready to man that.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
No, I'm actually working on a job description currently to bring to the board, and as a first step, and along with that on the cover sheet would be anticipated, expenditures for that item.
Okay, so Ms. Swanson, will that suffice that it is being worked and will come back to us in two forms? It'll come back as a job description, and then it'll come back as an item with a real expenditure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when do we expect to see that? Can I ask that today?
Absolutely, Billy.
It will it should be at the end, the May 20th meeting, if not the beginning of June.
Okay, so that gives us 2 months to fill. Yes?
Yes, all summer.
Okay. Thanks. Ms. Swanson, does that work?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Dawson.
No questions at this time.
Mr. Swanson.
Nothing.
Okay, with that, public comment. I see none. So, Dr. Porras, I think there was nothing added there. Board, as we said earlier, let us take, I have 8:43. Woohoo! Let us take 7 minutes. And had I remembered that we were going to come back, I wouldn't have gotten up. But 7 minutes and come back at 8:50 to work on our closed session for hopefully half an hour. Thank you all very much.